Okay, so in today's video, I'm going to talk about the problem that I see that comes up a lot online in a lot of the gluten and or celiac groups or groups that basically talk about avoiding gluten and how to live in the way that we need to, the mindset that we need to have when we're not eating gluten. So the problem, the question, one of the big questions is, hey, I saw these things that I just missed so much and I really wanted to eat them. Like, for example, regular donuts, or I wanted to eat that hamburger with a regular bun, and and I just had to eat it. I just couldn't help myself. Or my kids, they don't understand how it's hurting them. So I see this come up a lot, and I ask them oftentimes about, what do you feel is causing this? Or what do you feel that you're missing? Because actually on a gluten-free diet, gluten-free plan, whatever you want to call it, you're actually not missing anything except for the chemical that's causing your pain. So it's really interesting. And I think some people are looking at it like an addiction almost, which for me is it's very strange, because I never was like that for me. Yes, I had a lot of emotional things that came up when I did need to stop eating gluten, but it wasn't like I was going to go and just go eat something that had gluten in it, because I knew already, like a kid who touches a hot burner, I mean, you just learn right away. You just don't. Now, once you know what it is that's causing that pain, you just don't do it anymore. So I wanted to dig into that more, and I talked to people who are going through this. And so I put together some questions that you can ask yourself and help yourself for going through something like this. So if this is for you, excellent. If not, then perhaps it's something you can help somebody else with, because there are a lot of people who feel this way and or go through it. And it is a cause of a lot of pain and a lot of suffering. So my thinking is this: I don't even crave it anymore. I only look at things that are healthy for me, and I buy foods that make me feel good. And people have said, thank you, Jackie, that was whatever help that I gave them to get through to that point, thank you. And that made it a lot easier. So I'd like to go through the points with you of what I did, or what at least was what I used unconsciously to get to the point where you need to be, so that you can live a gluten-free life and feel like the gluten queen. So, one, why do you want or need to be gluten-free in the first place? Or whatever it is that you're moving away from. So, for example, if I say whole foods, plant-based food, and all of a sudden you're like, I have to eat meat. Well, write it down. Write down, what do you feel like you're actually missing or not getting? Why is it that you're moving away from it in the first place? So these are going to be typically positive things, I'm going to feel better, or I won't have pain anymore, or my intestines can heal. I won't have headaches anymore. I won't be nauseous. I won't be cloudy. So write all those things down and take some time to do this, because this formula absolutely works. It's just fail-proof. And I would love to hear from you, by the way, of course, after, to know how it worked for you. Number two, what did it feel like when you had the symptoms, the problems, when you were eating gluten? Write down all your symptoms, because everybody's different. Myself, I mainly had, the main symptom that brought me to the doctors was anemia. I had extreme anemia, and I was extremely lethargic. I was suicidal because of the depression that was caused by the anemia. And for my whole life, I remember always needing to eat Tums after I ate. So I had indigestion like crazy. I had bowel issues too, but just write everything down that happened when you ate that which it is that you're trying to now be done with. Number three, how can you bring back to your mind this aversion you had back then? So basically, so the negative things that happen when you ate those things. For me, photos of my endoscopy of my small intestines. Because when I looked at what mine looked like versus what a normal, healthy small intestine is supposed to look like, I was horrified. I was like, oh my God, it looks like a garden hose. And there's supposed to be lots of little cilia, and there's supposed to be lots of receptors for the nutrition that I was eating, and I did not have that. So no wonder I wasn't getting any nutrition. That visual alone for me is what did it. So if you need to write notes, if you need to write down your feelings, or write the situations like you were, sitting on the toilet for 5 hours straight, or vomiting, or horrible things, but this is what you need to get to the point of feeling an aversion to wanting to repeat or pay attention to that feeling, whatever is drawing you to wanting you to eat gluten again. So number 4, anytime you this feeling of lack, basically it's a feeling of lack. When it comes up, bring out your number 3 items. Bring it out, whether you're just sitting there quietly and thinking to yourself, okay, that photo, I do not want to look like that ever again. I do not want to have anemia where I have to go get iron transfusions. Write it down, bring it out, talk about it with yourself. And then number 5, bring out the positive reinforcement about what changed and how you feel so good now. What are your miracles? Mine were, my asthma was pretty much non-existent after a while, and my hypoglycemia is pretty much also non-existent. So those 2 big, huge things are mostly gone in my life. Maybe not 100%, but it's mostly gone. And it took my learning all of these skills and learning how to eat gluten-free and without stress and without worrying that I was going to eat something that was going to make me sick. I built my skills and my tools so that I was confident. So you will have miracles, by the way, I promise you. All right, second to last is hold on to that positive reinforcement until that negative preference that was creeping up vanishes, and it will. Because you're retraining your brain. When I do this, I feel like this. When I do this, and you go backwards, it'll be like this. And just that the very opposites of knowing what each thing will do really is excellent training for your brain. And then I jokingly put at the end, rinse and repeat. So it's something you just have to do until it gets to be automatic, till it gets to be where you get to the point where you don't even reach for that, or even doesn't even cross your mind anymore that I would love to eat that piece of bread, because I wouldn't touch that with a 20-foot pole. Okay, so those are my 7 steps in overcoming the gluten, whatever part of your brain is obsessing over what you're missing, versus what you have now, which is the most amazing gift and a miracle. You are healing your body, and that's what it's all about. We are healing ourselves and looking to majorly improve our lives by our own efforts, because we believe and know that our bodies can heal themselves. Have an awesome day. Talk to you soon.